There are singers like her. This is Christina Aguilera at the age of 8. And then there is me.
My shadow's only one that walks beside me.
I'm in my early 20s and I still can't sing, and I've been hearing this for my entire life. I didn't get good grades in music class, and during karaoke they quickly took the mic away from me. And my parents always told me that I had no talent and I just couldn't sing, because I wasn't the musical type. So the dream of standing on stage as a singer was kind of crushed when I was a teenager. I barely sang for years, especially not in front of anyone, because I was just afraid of being terrible. But there was this dream I just couldn't get out of my head. I didn't just wanted to learn how to sing. I wanted to create my own music and standing on stage as a full-time artist and singer, even though my singing still sounded like this 4 years ago.
Something that will like those tears. I'm sick.
Okay, it's enough. It can only get better from here. This is my journey of what I learned in 4 years of singing. And I want to answer the question once and for all. Can you learn to sing, or is it just talent? I'm Will and I have a dream to take my music from the living room to the big stages and inspire millions of people. And I've got the right plan for that. Yeah, this is just my bedroom. Did you really think we were already on stage? Come on guys, this is just episode 2. 4 years ago, I started taking singing more seriously for the first time. At first it was just an experiment. I wanted to see if I could make any progress in 30 days. And to my surprise, after a month, there was a small improvement. My shadow's only one that walks beside me. I was still miles away from actually being good, let alone good enough to perform on stage. Throughout the video you will see how my singing has improved over the last 4 years. My whole life I've been told that singing just isn't for me, and when you hear that over and over for years, you eventually start to believe it. Is it even possible to learn how to sing if you don't have talent? Will I ever be able to stand on stage, sing a song well and even remotely keep up with the stars who have been singing since they were kids? I was incredibly insecure about my voice and I wasn't fully aware of it at the time, but I never really felt really free when I sang. I was frustrated and so far from my dream that I almost completely stopped singing and quit taking lessons. Instead, I ran away and went traveling for several months. And you might know this feeling. When you're traveling, you just feel less self-conscious and more confident around other people because, you know, you will never see them again, right? And generally, everybody's more relaxed when they're on vacation. And that's why, at some point, without even thinking about it, I started playing music and singing with the locals on the street. And somehow this flipped a switch in me. I suddenly had the courage to sing or at least rap with or even in front of others.
I love the way you lie. I can imagine lòng lòng, okay? You ever love somebody so much you can barely breathe when you meet, and neither one of you even know what.
I realized that I had never given 100% before because I was insecure and afraid of sounding bad. There was this one moment when I thought, hey, you can do that. You just have to dare to come out of your shell. My voice still wasn't really better or anything close to good, but I learned my first lesson. You have to be completely comfortable when singing in order to build confidence and eventually be able to perform in front of others. Singing isn't just a technical challenge, it's mainly an emotional one. First, you have to learn to believe in your voice. I would have never thought so myself, but traveling had the biggest impact on my confidence. Not just in singing, but in general. I'm convinced that you can learn more while traveling than in almost anything else in life. So I had this newfound confidence in performing. But my singing still sounded terrible and I had barely any practice. But I've decided to not give up on my voice just yet and to finally start singing again. But how do you actually learn to hit the right notes and stop singing off key? Back in Germany, I moved into my first ever apartment on my own, without roommates or apartment. And I didn't think at first that this would change anything about my singing, but it turns out to be one of the biggest game changers. But all the passion and confidence in the world won't help if I keep singing off-key and can't hit the right notes. We all have that one friend who's convinced they can sing, but their voice is just painful to watch. That was probably me for a while. I'm addicted to you. Yeah, this terrible singing actually isn't me. This is Ed Sheeran at the age of 14. The same Ed Sheeran who now fills stadiums around the world and is known as one of the most successful musicians today.
Let me hear a little more.
The cliché that you can't learn a musical skill like singing still exists for many people, especially those who never really tried to learn. While the ones who truly mastered it say that anyone can do it, even in a relatively short amount of time.
This is me at 14. I wrote the A-Team at 18, so 4 years later, in 4 years, I learned harmony, I learned how to sing in tune, I learned how to perform, I learned how to do it in time, and you can do it.
So Ed Sheeran learned how to sing in just 4 years. The same amount of time that has passed since I first started. You can compare it to working out a muscle group at the gym. Essentially, that's exactly what you're doing. Learning to control the different muscles in your larynx as well as your diaphragm. And eventually, it becomes muscle memory. Like when you learn an instrument or how to do a handstand. At some point, you get so comfortable that you don't have to think about it anymore. To figure out when you sound off-key and where you still need to gain better control over your voice, the first step in singing isn't actually about your voice. It's about your ear. I figured it out the hard way. You might know the phenomenon of singing along to songs in the shower. It feels and sounds amazing, but then if you record yourself, you realize how bad you actually sound. That's mainly because your ear isn't trained to hear your own voice critically, and the original track drowns it out, so you can't hear the difference between the two voices anymore. To even begin hitting the right notes, it makes sense to record yourself regularly, then listen to what you sang over and repeat it over and over, focusing on the spots where you missed the notes or sounded off. And that was super frustrating at first, because when I made my first recordings to karaoke tracks and instrumentals, I suddenly noticed just how shaky my voice was in parts and that I had very little control over it. But I decided to keep going, sing more and record myself every now and then. Unfortunately, my voice barely improved. But I did notice that my ears were getting better and I could tell when I was hitting a note. Honestly, when I first heard myself that critically, I thought, this is never going to happen. To get more control over your voice and hit the notes, there are tons of exercises and vocal training specifically designed to help you do that. And once again, it's like the gym, where you train the muscles in extreme situations so that everyday task, or in this case, normal singing, just becomes easier. So I did vocal exercises for 20 minutes every day for the last 2 years to improve my voice. It's what I would love to say, but the truth is, well, I didn't do any of them for most of the time. I know these exercises can be extremely effective and useful, but there's one big problem. They're just not fun. It felt like school and I just wanted to sing and feel completely free while doing it. So that's exactly what I did. And for the first time, I could actually do it. Thanks to having my own apartment, I had for the first time an environment where I could sing as loudly as I wanted all day long. I would have never thought this would make such a big difference, but it ended up being one of the biggest game changers. You need a place like that. It could be your own apartment, your car, your attic, or some fields where no one is around, it doesn't matter. But there was a time I was able to really get to know my voice and push its limits. I had music playing at every opportunity, whether I was working, cooking, riding my bike or in the shower. I must have been singing 2 hours a day without even realizing it. I honestly can't remember a single moment where I actively sat down to practice to this point. But during that time, I rediscovered my love for singing and music in general. So for the first time I really had the chance to push my voice to its limits. And without even knowing it, picked songs that were way above my vocal range. And I think I don't have to explain why this was a bad idea. Just like any instruments, everyone's voice has a natural range, meaning the highest and lowest notes they can hit. These limits are different for everyone, but even the best singers have to deal with it.
Those oceans. Oh my God. Yo!
You can actually expand your range, but first you need to learn how to sing comfortably within your limits without straining, before thinking about stretching your range. To find songs that fit, I first need to figure out where my limits are. A quick Google search and we find an easy solution. There are websites that make this super easy to figure out. My voice is a bit on the deeper side, so it has a similar range to John Lennon, Michael Bublé or Justin Bieber. That's probably why I can sing Love Yourself pretty easily, while I'd likely never be able to sing Chandelier by Sia in the original key. So as soon as you know your limits, you can build on your strengths and improve your weaknesses. And everyone has weaknesses. Sia can sing Chandelier, but I doubt she can fry scream like Chester Bennington. Everyone's voice has its limits. For example, I picked Secrets by OneRepublic. The lead singer, Ryan Tedder, is a tenor and has a much higher voice than I have. This is fucking impossible. That doesn't mean I can't sing songs like that. I just have to pitch it down so I can hit the notes of the song.
Thought you saw me wink, no, I've been on the brink, so tell me what you want to hear. Something that will like those ears. I'm sick of all the insincere, so I'm gonna give all my secrets away.
It was still a bit frustrating because I will never sound as clean as he does with this song. I realized that in the future it's super important to choose songs and genres that fit my voice and range. For me it's mostly rock and rap with some pop here and there. The genres I listen to the most and often sing along to. That's what I've been unknowingly training my voice for over years, and naturally those songs come easiest to me. I picked songs I know inside and out, so I don't have to think about the lyrics or melody. Just focus on hitting the notes and not sounding off. After many bad attempts and awful recordings, I finally started improving more and more. On top of that, I started taking singing lessons and finally doing exercises to learn the basics so I wouldn't damage my voice and could have more control when hitting higher notes. After just a few months, I could sing most of these songs and hit almost every note. I even started singing higher than I ever could before, which felt amazing. It was like a door that had been closed forever was suddenly opened. Since then, I've been convinced that hitting the right notes, even in more challenging songs, is just a matter of practice.
And if you think that I'm still holding on to something, you should go and love yourself.
But then came the slap in the face. After all those hours of hard practice, after all these moments when I thought I'd finally nailed it, I realized something was still missing. Even though I hit most of the notes, everything sounded so ordinary. My voice, which I had trained with so much dedication, suddenly felt lifeless and replaceable. Isn't that what people often say about learning to sing? You can learn to hit the notes, but that alone doesn't make you a great singer. Somehow all these artists have this extra secret ingredient that gives their voice that special something. It's why their singing moves us, but my voice is missing that. I must be overlooking something. It has to be possible. Maybe I just haven't worked on it long enough or practiced enough. Or maybe my parents and teachers were right all along. Did I waste all those years and effort on my voice? Am I not meant to stand on a stage and sing? Why do I even want to learn to sing? Sure, to write songs and make my own music, but that's not the real answer. Why do I want that? My goal wasn't just to hit the right notes, impress music teachers or learn the perfect technique. I want to turn my emotions into music and leave something behind for the listener. Let's be honest, we don't want perfect generic voices. We want character, little imperfections that make us feel the humanity and emotion behind the songs. We love voices that stand out with their unique sound, voices that stir emotions in us, just as the artists put their emotions into the music. Maybe that's what sets the stars apart. Maybe that's the gift that talented people are born with and it can't be learned. But maybe I'm making it too easy on myself. I've always tried to sing as cleanly and correctly as possible, forgetting why I actually wanted to sing. To express my emotions. I tried to forget everything I had learned and just give myself to the music. So I did exactly that. And without even realizing it at first, I stumbled upon something. A kind of trick that unlocked this secret component, revealing countless singing styles and techniques all at once. And the best part is, anyone, even someone who can't sing at all, has used this technique hundreds of times before. Have you ever tried changing your voice, maybe to sound like Mickey Mouse? Or like someone more recognizable like Morgan Freeman? Okay, but what does that have to do with learning how to sing? Whenever I want to learn a new skill, I always look for people who are already experts so I can learn from their mistakes and successes. That's when I randomly came across this guy. This is Stevie Mackey. He's the vocal coach for international superstars and has worked with big names like J-Lo, Whitney Houston and Coldplay. He says the most important skill for singing by far is mimicking. Simply imitating the voices of our favorite artists.
If you can copy what you hear, you can copy good singers and make the sounds that they make.
Some people still believe you're born with a unique singing voice or that your speaking voice is the same as your singing voice. But the truth is, all the big stars learn to sing by imitation. They listen to their favorite artists repeatedly, imitating the voices until it sounds almost the same. But not quite. Over time, by blending various voices and inspirations, they develop their own unique singing style. When you think about it, it makes perfect sense. We all learn to speak as children by imitating the voices of our parents. Without realizing it, I began to experimenting more and more with my voice, imitating my favorite artists. After months of singing along to music, mimicking different voices, I finally began to feel that my voice could actually sound amazing. Not only could I hit the right notes, but I was gradually developing a unique sound that I could truly express myself with. I took piano lessons for over 10 years. But in just a few years of teaching myself, I learned more than I had in all those years before. That's why I'm convinced no matter what you're learning, you need to develop a passion for it. If you do, your progress will be so fast, it's almost unbelievable. You just have to start and enjoy the process, and soon it becomes almost ridiculously easy. It's the same for you and me, just as it was for the big stars when they were starting out. The point is, you learn nothing from success, only from mistakes. You have to sound terrible at the beginning to improve step by step until you reach the point you want. I wouldn't have started this series if I didn't believe that if you work hard enough at something, you can become a pro on it, no matter what. As you will see now, it doesn't take nearly as much time as you might think it does to develop a good singing voice. This is how terrible my voice sounded 4 years ago.
My shadow's only one that walks beside me.
And this is how my voice sounds today.
I walk alone, I walk alone. I walk alone, I walk my shadow's only one that walks beside me. My shallow heart's the only thing that's beating. Sometimes I wish someone up there will find me. Till then I walk alone.
By the way, on Instagram and TikTok you will find longer versions of it, and as with every episode, you can always ask your questions. So, I have improved my singing incredibly over the last 4 years. But this is just the beginning of the story. It's time to finally write my first original song.